Giant hailstones smashed roofs and cars in Beijing on September 9, 2025. The Chinese capital was blanketed in white ice within minutes, and thousands of people were caught off guard with no time to react. The impact was so sudden that even the alerts issued at midday did not capture the scale of what was about to happen. By around 2 in the afternoon, the Beijing Meteorological Observatory had already issued warnings for thunderstorms, strong winds, and possible hail. Yet within just a few hours, those alerts escalated into a far more destructive reality. What was expected to be a strong storm turned into a devastating weather event. The sky darkened abruptly. Lightning tore through the atmosphere, thunder shook buildings, and within minutes, heavy rain poured down. But it was the hail that disrupted the daily life of millions. Blocks of ice several centimeters wide fell with unusual force. Districts such as Yanqing, Huairou, and Mentougou took the heaviest hits. The stones were compared to walnuts, ping-pong balls, and even chicken eggs. In videos shared online, some appeared fist-sized, capable of smashing windshields and punching holes through rooftops in seconds. The noise was deafening. Ice hammered rooftops and windows with a relentless crash that sounded like continuous gunfire. On the streets, parked cars became the first line of destruction. Shattered glass, dented hoods, and broken mirrors repeated across entire neighborhoods. Insurance companies confirmed they received more than 1,000 claims that same night. Most involved broken windshields, structural damage to homes, and commercial losses. It all happened within hours, leaving thousands facing serious financial setbacks. Rainfall added to the chaos. On average, Beijing recorded 125 millimeters, with peaks in northern suburbs like Miyun, which saw 135 millimeters. In Mentougou, 123 millimeters fell in a single hour. Still, unlike other storms, rain was not the main factor in this disaster. The hailstorm brought traffic to a standstill. Desperate drivers sought cover under bridges and gas stations, creating gridlocks that paralyzed major roads. Horns blared, voices shouted, and the unending pounding of hail created a citywide state of disorder. Homes suffered heavily as well. Hundreds reported punctured roofs, broken windows, and flooding inside. Some districts experienced power outages as drainage systems failed and parts of the grid collapsed. Families spent the night trying to block water and ice with whatever they could. Social media images revealed streets turned white. Asphalt disappeared under thick layers of ice, resembling snow in some places. People caught outside sprinted for cover while the sky continued to hurl ice down with force. The observatory confirmed that on September 9th, it had issued 3 simultaneous alerts, one for thunderstorms, another for strong winds, and another for hail. The overlap of events underscored the magnitude of what Beijing faced. It was not just rain, but an extreme combination of meteorological factors. Experts explain that the phenomenon began with warm, humid air moving up from the south colliding with a cold front sweeping in from the north. That clash triggered violent vertical air currents that lifted water droplets repeatedly, freezing them into massive hailstones that eventually fell at high speeds. What happened in Beijing was not an isolated incident. That same day in Zhejiang, torrential rain flooded highways and brought urban traffic to a halt. The storm was part of a larger system stretching across multiple provinces in eastern China. Forecasts warned that between September 10th and 13th, provinces including Jiangxi, Fujian, Guangxi, and Guangdong would face similar events. Reports confirmed widespread atmospheric instability across much of the south and east. In Jiangxi, particularly in Ganzhou, the damage was even more severe. Residents described hailstones larger than goose eggs, some crashing through tin roofs and injuring people inside their homes. Images showed broken tree branches and streets littered with debris. In the town of Shicheng, locals compared the hailstones to small bowls. While media repeated these accounts, the lasting evidence was the sheer size and persistence of the ice, which resisted melting and piled up on rooftops, streets, and fields. Agriculture was another major casualty. Thousands of hectares of crops were wiped out. Entire greenhouses collapsed under the weight of the ice. Farmers reported that an entire season of labor had been lost within minutes. Rural economic losses only compounded the urban damage. Videos from rural communities showed vast stretches of land completely destroyed. The green of farmland was replaced by solid white. The agricultural disaster promised to have long-term consequences, not just immediate ones. In smaller cities, house roofs showed visible holes. Families were forced to leave their homes temporarily due to the risk of collapse in fragile structures. The scope of destruction extended simultaneously across multiple regions. State television reported from various provinces, confirming that within less than a week hailstorms had struck Beijing, Zhejiang, Jiangxi, and Guangdong. Each region reported its own tally of damaged homes, destroyed vehicles, and injured residents. Authorities urged people not to underestimate weather warnings. Even yellow or blue alerts, considered relatively moderate, could escalate into critical scenarios. Officials repeated advice to stay indoors, avoid temporary structures, and park vehicles under proper shelter. For agriculture, experts recommended reinforcing greenhouse roofs with nets or resistant plastics, while closely monitoring daily forecasts. Prevention, they stressed, was the only reliable way to reduce losses in the face of such unpredictable weather. The events in Beijing highlighted how even a capital with advanced infrastructure could be paralyzed within minutes by a single storm. Vulnerability was not confined to rural villages. It extended to the most developed urban centers. Analysts pointed out that these convective storms are becoming more frequent when air masses of contrasting temperatures converge. In recent years, China has recorded more extreme weather phenomena in increasingly short periods. September 9th, 2025 will be remembered as the day Beijing faced one of the most powerful hailstorms in its recent history. Thousands of cars destroyed, hundreds of homes damaged, and farmland losses beyond calculation were the storm also left behind a clear reminder. Early warning systems must be strengthened, and citizens must take alerts seriously. What began as a midday forecast turned into a demonstration of nature's overwhelming force.